Okay, welcome to lesson 4, the announcement. Okay, so this is the big moment that we've been working up toward, and I'm very excited for you. So in this lesson, we'll be talking about the exact particulars that you need to do in order to get your announcement out there. The main theme of this lesson is to be prepared. This is a really high energy, high traffic, high attention moment for your campaign, and we just want to make sure that you get all the value out of it that you can. So, like I said, this is likely the highest web traffic throughout the entire campaign, so we need to have all of our ducks in a row for funneling and channeling that web traffic into an actionable item that you can get value out of. And the whole idea here is that preparation is key. So we have to prepare, test, make sure everything's working correctly, prepare some more. So that's a big idea here. So let's talk about your digital landing page. We talked about this in the previous lesson. This should be a website, but it could be a Facebook page as well. When people come to this, when people hear about your campaign, they're either going to click on a link that's going to bring them to this digital landing page, or they're going to Google you. So either way, it's either going to take you to a website, or if you don't have a website, then a Facebook page. And the idea here is that you should have something in place, like I said, that funnels them somewhere or channels them somewhere that's actionable that you can get value out of. So you can go back and review lesson 2 if you need to about setting up a website. That'll reorient you here. But essentially you want to capture their email or a text number or a number that they can be texted at. We talked earlier about email list building and how important that is and how valuable that list will become. So, and obviously campaign donations are valuable and needed and tough to get. So since this is such a high traffic event, high energy event, high attention event, when you make this announcement, you need to try and get at the very least an email address from them. Even better would be a phone number where they can be texted, or a donation from them. So that's the whole idea about this digital landing page, is to get that from these people. So the best way to do it is with a pop-up interstitial ad. I say ad, but it's not, I guess it's kind of an advertisement. So when people go to your website, this box will pop up in front of them that says, so excited to announce a campaign, join to be a part of it, or sign up to hear more along the way, or whatever. And in Squarespace and Wix, this is super easy to put in there. Those are the website platforms we spoke about previously. So you can have that pop-up interstitial. Also, you should think about making some sort of contest out of this. So you can say something along the lines of, want to have like a one-on-one dinner with Chris, sign up for text message alerts and he'll text you if you win, something like that. Or you can give something away for people that win, or like you're drawing a lottery, or something like that. But the one-on-one dinner or coffee is a really good model. Another way to capture the text number, and we talked about this previously, is so if you're using Nation Builder or other software that's going to send out mass text messages for you, it'll be one of those things. I'm sure you've seen it, like in the Hillary Clinton campaign, she's not the only one that does this, but countless elected officials and politicians do it now. But on the podium, you'll see like a little stronger together, or whatever, Bernie Sanders, and it'll say text vote to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or text stronger together to 3, 4, 5, whatever. That is so that you that is logging in your phone number to receive text message updates from the campaign. So you'll see how to set those up if you use software like Nation Builder. It's really easy to do. And that is the equivalent of someone giving you their email address and saying that they want to be emailed. That's them giving you their phone number and saying that they want to be texted about the campaign. And we'll go into this in greater detail in the following chapter on media and advertising. Another way that you can do this is, like I said earlier, if you set up a second cell phone account and you have a phone number that's exclusive to you and the campaign, and you're not running in too big of a race, you can give your phone number out and say, hey, text Chris right now. Hey, so excited to announce this campaign. Shoot me a text message and say that you're on board. And give your actual phone number. And that'll be exciting for people to be able to text you. But when you put that, you have to put a disclaimer that says, by texting, Chris now, you acknowledge that you're signing up for text message updates in the future from the campaign. So we'll talk about that in the next lesson, but anytime you're texting people, you have to have their explicit permission to be texting them about it. Otherwise you start violating, it's called the TCPA, Telephone Consumer Protection Act. And if you start violating that, it can come with really huge fees. And it's against the law. So you have to be compliant with that. We talk a lot more about it in the next chapter. So that's a digital landing page, that how to optimize it for the actual announcement. Second is this idea of an announcement video. And this is a tough one, guys, like just considering should you do it or not. My advice is only do it if you have the means to produce a high quality one. So if you don't have much money for the campaign, then you might not be able to do this. However, if you don't have much money for the campaign, but your son is a video producer that produces crazy, stellar, amazing videos from your guys' vacation that he shot on his iPhone, well, okay, then you could probably throw together something pretty good. So only do it if you can do it. Or something else to think about here is if your race is unique and has historical significance to it, then you should definitely produce an announcement video. And the reason is because these videos have the tendency to go viral if they're done really well. And if your campaign announcement video goes viral, that is a really good thing, because you're just channeling more and more supporters in that could be volunteering time or money excuse me, to your campaign. So how cool would it be if you were running for Sutter County Supervisor in Northern California and people from all over the country were sending you money for your race? So that's exactly what happened in various races recently. A transgender woman, Danica Roem, forget the last name, I think it's Rome, Danica Roem, was running for a House of Delegates seat in Virginia. And those are fairly small races in the state of Virginia, but it was Danica, being a transgender woman, was running against a elected official that had authored the state's bathroom bill. Without going into too much detail on that, is something that is discriminatory towards transgendered people. This person had also said terrible, terrible things about other parts of the LGBT community. And a victory by Danica would have been symbolically huge and really historical, and she would have been the first openly trans person elected to a state legislature, I think. So it had historical significance there, and accordingly got support from all around the country. So that's something to think about. So let's take a look here at a couple of examples of announcements that are done pretty well, and are announcement videos that are done pretty well and have unique situation or historical significance. So let's take a look at this first one here.
When I was 12 years old, I knew exactly what I wanted to do when I grew up. I wanted to fly fighter jets. and land on aircraft carriers, because that's the toughest flying you can do. When I was 13, my congressman told me I couldn't fly in combat. He said Congress thought women ought to be protected and not allowed to serve in combat. I never got a letter back from my Senator Mitch McConnell. I then wrote every member of the House and Senate Armed Services Committees asking them to change the law. I said they just hadn't met me yet, and I knew I could do it, but most of them told me I couldn't. Then I got into the Naval Academy, and wouldn't you know, that's when they changed the law. I'm Amy McGrath, and I love our country. I spent 20 years as a U.S. Marine, flew 89 combat missions bombing Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. I was the first woman Marine to fly in an F-18 in combat, and I got to land on aircraft carriers. Now I'm running for Congress against Andy Barr in my home state of Kentucky. He's Mitch McConnell's hand-picked congressman who said he would vote enthusiastically to take health care away from over 250,000 Kentuckians. Mr. Barr, my mom is a polio survivor who became one of the first women to graduate from UK medical school. A lot of people told her she couldn't achieve her dreams either, but she persevered and ended up treating many of the same kind of people whose health care you and Mr. McConnell would take away. This is my new mission, to take on a Congress full of career politicians who treat the people of Kentucky like they're disposable. Some are telling me a Democrat can't win that battle in Kentucky, that we can't take back our country for my kids and yours. We'll see about that.
Okay, that was great. Amy McGrath for Congress. So you can see that this is like unique or historical significance. She's, first of all, like just seeing a woman fighter jet pilot like that, you're like, well, okay, this is something I don't see every day, so it catches your attention right away. And she wrote to Congress as a kid saying she wanted to do this. Like, who else in the history of the United States has like wanted to fly fighter jets and wrote to their Congress people to do it, and then actually grows up and does it. So you're already catching the like historical significance of this. She said she was the first woman to fly an F-18 in combat. Side note, badass. Okay, back to the lesson here. You can see it's unique. It's super unique and has some historical significance to it. So yeah, she should definitely have made this video, and she did a great job with it. It gets a little slow in the middle, but you know, whatever. When she's talking about healthcare and I'm going to take on career politicians, and it's a little bit like yeah, we've heard it before, but it's still great. And you have to put that out there. You have to start to give that campaigny message. And you can tell that the folks that created this video knew what they were doing. They created it in order for it to go viral, get a lot of sensation around the internet, and pump some money into the Democratic primary, because she's running in the Democratic primary right now for that congressional seat. So that's mostly evident when they say, you know, some are saying that a Democrat can't win this seat. And then she's like, we'll see about that. You know, it's cool, it's super cool, but you know, you can tell what they're going after, and it's great. It's superb. One of my favorite campaign videos I've ever seen. Okay, let's take a look at this other one here.
And Paul Ryan, come up and say a few words. Congratulations on a job well done.
This is repealing and replacing Obamacare. Everybody doesn't get what they want.
It's a very painful condition. It's like hot knives going through, and you can't talk, you can't swallow. It's terrible. I'm gonna cry. I'm on 20 drugs, and if I don't take the one that costs them thousands of dollars, I don't know what would happen. You have to give me a bear hug.
My mom is probably the most important person in my life. She was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. There's no doubt in my mind that there are thousands of people like her that don't have what she has. The system is extremely flawed. I work every day so that me and my son have insurance. I've been an iron worker for 20 years. I work hard and I earn every penny that I make. And I know everybody that I work with is the same way. I've spent my entire life in southeastern Wisconsin. I can see what people need. I could do so much more, and I will do so much more, taking my voice, taking our voice and what we need to Washington, D.C. I decided to run for office because not everybody's seated at the table, and it's time to make a bigger table. I'm the best person to represent this district because I'm a working person. If somebody falls behind, we're so much stronger if we carry them with us. That's the way I was raised. You look out for each other. I think it's time, let's trade places. Paul Ryan, you can come work the iron, and I'll go to DC. We can do so much better together as a community, and our future depends on it.
Okay, so there's Randy Bryce for Congress, and you can see there it's unique as well. Historically significant? I mean, maybe. But the big thing there is it's like, whoa, somebody's going to try and unseat Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House? Like, that's a pretty big deal. Maybe I'll pay attention to this. And it does. It has a whole, like, Trading Places vibe. He says, Paul Ryan, why don't you come work the iron and I'll go to D.C. You're not an everyday person. You're out of touch with what really matters here in your district, and I'm more in touch with that. So let's flip-flop. It's pretty cool. But should he have made that video? Certainly. Definitely should make that video. I mean, he's running to unseat the sitting Speaker of the House of Representatives. So pretty big deal. Okay, hope you enjoyed those two examples. They're both pretty well done. Let's move on. Let's do some tips where if you do decide to do an announcement video, some tips in doing it. So tip one is save costs. There's different ways you can do this, but essentially look for a volunteer with video production skills. It would be really great if, like I mentioned earlier, you have a son that's a video producer or a brother or cousin or spouse or something. So you can find a volunteer that can do this for you. And once again, like we said, only do it if it's high quality. If the video is going to look half-assed, then don't do it. It doesn't have to be quite as snazzy as those two we just watched, but it should be pretty close. It should be tight. Another way you can save costs is to hire a college kid to do this. There's lots of college students that are studying film and video production that are looking for a good experience. And don't ask anybody to do it for free, because you'll get what you pay for, and that's just kind of wrong to make anybody work for free, no matter if they're a college student or not. But you could get a great deal. It's maybe $500. You can get somebody to produce a video like this for you. You just have to work closely with them and make sure you're upfront about what you want and what it will look like. That's one more option. Another option could be to film the video yourself. Video cameras on mobile phones today have amazing cameras. They really do. And as long as there's plenty of light, like if you're doing this outside or with really bright lights inside, then you should have a pretty high quality video. And then you can send it off to someone overseas that can very cheaply put it together and add the sort of captions that you want to see and the music. And the downside here is that you'll have to be very prescriptive about what you want. So hopefully you're already a creative person and you know visually what you want to see and captions and all of that stuff, and because you'll have to be very prescriptive with that. So that's one more option. Tip number 2 is keep it under 2 minutes. Those videos that we just watched were 2 minutes on the dot, and you could tell it was starting to be strained. So keep it under 2 minutes and make the most important points up front. So exactly why your race is a big deal and why you're gonna win it and like how you stand out, like that should be up front. But yeah, definitely under 2 minutes. Tip number 3 is this should be a video version of the campaign message. So everything that we put together in chapter 2, all of the issues and working through issue statements to develop your campaign platform, the 2-minute pitch, 1-minute pitch, that sort of thing. This video should essentially be the video version of that 2-minute campaign pitch. So go back and review that in great detail. Make sure that you're hitting that on the mark. And tip number 4, make sure you have some photos in there that show like your deep roots. You'll notice in the fighter jet pilot video, it shows pictures of her mom and her when she was a little kid. It showed a freaking picture of the letter she wrote to Congress when she was a kid. Like, how cool is that? That's awesome. There's other videos I've seen where someone's running for a local seat and it shows pictures of them like at recognizable parts of their district, like a park or a building or something, and showing them at like the elementary school that's still there, that's been there forever, and that's the school that they went to. So you should have these photos to show like deep roots in the district and show that you've been around there for a while. Okay, so that's all the tips that I have for you on creating that video, and hopefully all of you guys are running in historically significant, amazing, unique races, and you have all the assets available to create an amazing kickoff video. If any of you do have a really great campaign kickoff, campaign announcement video, or even if it's not that great, link to it over here in the comments. I would really love to check it out. So yeah, put a link over there for it. Okay, third thing here that you're going to need lined up perfectly when you make the announcement is a press plan. So first and foremost, you're going to send a press release, and we'll talk about this in greater detail in the following chapter. What exactly is a press release, and who do you send it to, and what elements to include, all of that stuff. We're going to cover that in the next chapter. So that's chapter 6, lesson 2, where we'll be going over that. And if it makes sense, like particularly if this is a unique or historical campaign, then hold a press event. And we also talk about that in chapter 6. But essentially a press event or a press conference, it's referred to quite a bit, is where you're standing up at a podium, sometimes with guests around you. You give a speech announcing your campaign and your intentions, your campaign message, why you're doing this, etc., etc. And there's members of the press there, members of the community there, and people can ask you questions. That's, your regular press conference. So we talk about exactly how to put together a press conference in the next chapter. So you definitely consider doing that for your campaign announcement. When you send out this press release or have this press event, make sure that you include key endorsements and supporters that are already obtained. After all, what would be the point of going through all of that hassle we talked about in the last lesson about lining up pre-endorsement support or pre-announcement endorsements? Okay, that does it for the press section. Now let's go on here to this personal email section. So what I'm talking about here is when you send out your press release or when you go live with your campaign, right around the same time, or a little bit before, actually, you'll want to send a personal email to every person you can think of that you've had some sort of personal contact with. So the idea here is that these people, you don't want them to hear about it, in the newspaper or through a friend or a social media post. You want them to receive an email from you. So one way to build the list of people, and I talked about this in a previous lesson, is to, if you use Gmail, go into your contacts and look through, so you go to Gmail in the upper left-hand corner, you go to contacts, and then look through everything there. In particular, if you choose all, then it shows you like every freaking email address that's ever come through your Gmail, which can be pretty intense, but it's a good place to like comb through and look for valuable email addresses. So go through there, and that's the list of people that should receive this. If it's really long, you might have to upload it into your email distribution software and send it from there. But if it's less than like 150 or 200 people, you can just paste them all into the BCC section of your email and send it to all of them that way. So you should be fairly brief and say something like, hey, I just wanted to send out this note to let you know that I'm going to be announcing my candidacy for supervisor tomorrow. Then say like, I wanted to let this group of folks know before I let the rest of the world know, because you've been by my side in the past, and really hoping you can be by my side through this. Something along those lines. You want to keep it brief. You want to briefly tell them, here's what I'm doing. I'm very excited about it. Do like a really concise message about like your campaign message and platform. Answer to the golden question: why are you running for office? Or why are you running for this office? And then 2 key asks. 1, try and get them to sign up for text and email alerts. And 2, to give money to the campaign. So try and get these people to do 1 or 2 of those. Don't put anything gimmicky in here like a contest like we did before, because that takes the personal touch out of it. It starts to feel like, okay, this is just another gimmicky email. Like, this isn't a personalized touch email. So yeah, that's a good way to kick off the campaign as well, and capture that energy of the campaign announcement. So the big idea here is that you want to make the most of this exciting moment by being prepared and capturing every bit of value that you can out of it. This is a very exciting moment, so make the most of it. All right, guys, that's it for lesson 4. And next lesson, lesson 5, we'll be wrapping up chapter 5, and we'll be talking about the campaign kickoff party. So it's a quick, fun chapter just to cover off the logistics of how to make the campaign kickoff party a success. So we'll see you there in just a minute.